Hello there, everyone who is joining me either live or on replay. I'm trying something a little different today. As you can see, I'm actually here in my studio, in my piano studio, and thought I'd try a little something different. You know, we always usually go live and talk about this creative checkup life, this kind of, just a Q&A. And by the way, my name is Alan C. Paul, if you're new to the show, and I am a author, musician, and creative coach, and I help creators to build a better life from the inside out by applying spiritual principles to the temporary creative problems that you might be facing. But what you might not know if you don't really follow the show or know much about me is that I'm also a pianist, and this is kind of where I do what I do all the time as a musician. And so, I had a couple of friends who told me, maybe I should try, adding in a little bit of the music side since this is about creatives and musicians. And I really had no plan for this, but I decided I'd go ahead and try it, just to see. Hopefully, you can hear. And the piano is not like, blaring, so I can fix things with that, of course, make sure nothing's too loud. But I don't know if you can even see the piano here. So, just kind of playing around a little bit. But I did think what was interesting was that as I started thinking about doing this particular type of checkup, and by the way, you're allowed to please chat. Let me know if you're here or if you'd like to ask any questions at all. We can always have the questions going right there. And let me know that you're watching. Let me know where you're watching from. But I thought what it might be interesting, let me put the mic around so you can kind of see the keys a little bit, is talk about three keys. And so since I'm at a keyboard, I thought it might be fun to do like three keys of certain things. Like, if I was going to play in three different keys on the piano, then I would also talk about three keys to a certain subject or a certain topic. So this was the idea. Like, I don't know if it's going to work. We're going to see. Hello, D. Hello. Let me see if I can put you over here. Make sure I can see you. Great to see you. Thank from Philly. Nice to meet you. So if we were going to try three keys, I guess we could do, I don't know, C, E, G. I don't know, something like that. But we could try doing a song in different, three different keys. And that's really what I try to do when I practice. I always try to think of three different ways to do something. So if it's a scale, and then I'll try to switch it to something else. So I guess E would be next. And then maybe I take it to G. I didn't do the same thing. So I don't know. We're coming up on the holidays, so a lot of people are playing songs. Well, who do I play for professionally? I play for. It's funny now you ask the question like, who do I play for? I guess the quickest answer would be professionally would be is my church playing for my worship band at Metro Life Church with Pastor Mary Alessi. So she's an artist. I guess you could say I played for that, but I've played for lots of different people. More in a side gig type of thing. Mike Phillips, Shante Can. Oh gosh, all the names are popping out of my head. All these different people. I've got a chance to play for Raheem Devon, a lot of solo artists, a lot of solo R&B artists. Um, oh gosh, and they all pop out of my head. Like so, basically, a lot of side gigs, R&B gigs, jazz gigs. Appeared on a couple of albums. So, yeah, a lot of. That didn't really answer your question. I need to get better at my bio to be able to answer all that. So yeah, so basically what we're talking about is, I guess I'm doing 2-5-1s in three different keys. So maybe we're gonna come up with like a little line. Kind of sounds like that Maroon 5 song, Sunday Morning. Swinging it. So if I was to switch it and then go to another key, oh, appreciate that. All right, D. By the way, if you're watching, this is not our normal setup. We usually do questions and answers and things like that, and we talk about topic. But I'm switching it up a little, trying some music. So, ah, because he's right. Ah, messed up. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, so let me see what I'm saying here. Paris Bowens with my friend. I was hoping you could cover one of his songs. Oh my gosh. Talking about Paris. All right. Yeah, he is absolutely one of our greatest treasures and one of the treasures we lost last year, this year. Wow. It just feels like it was both yesterday, and it's crazy to think that this was just a few months ago that we lost Paris. Covered one of his songs. Oh gosh. I wish I could play Mitch's moves because he actually put that out, and that's such a great song. But I can't pull it to my mindset right now. I gotta practice that one. The only one that pops into my mind is the one that we used on his interview. Because if you go back on our YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube, by the way, you can find that interview with Paris. He talked about his life with Ty Tribbett and learning the industry and how God was really moving in his life. And it was just such an honor for us to interview him. And who knew that we were going to lose him just a few months later? And it was just, again, it was just a God thing. Thank God that he was able to share so much with so many of us in the gospel and R&B and really just music in general. He's just one of the greatest souls that I ever encountered in my years of being around music and around art and around creativity. So, if you wanted me to cover one, all I remember is sorry about the mistakes. really weird trying to play that, man. Oh, gosh. Yes, you can ask questions here, Gregory. Thank you so much for even joining me. This is definitely a different kind of view, a different kind of vibe for me. I usually do something where I already have the questions or like my comments kind of prepared. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to try something different. I literally took all this stuff out of my normal studio over there and said, you know what? Let me just try this and see what's going on with the music side, and kind of letting you know into the God and Gigs is that I am actually an artist and that I do create and do this on my own as well. So I'm a fellow creative. So yes, feel free to ask questions. This is exactly what this is about. I did call it Creative Keys live Q&A for highly motivated creatives. So if you have any questions about creativity, about art, about connecting spiritual life with your creative life, with about the business world, anything I don't know, I always say, hey, let's find the people who have the answers. That's why I have a community that's full of people who are just like us, who are, if I don't have an answer, that's not my job. I don't have all the answers. I'm definitely one of those people that considers themselves like a middle of the road creative. I like bridging the gap between people who have done it way better than me and those who have not done it yet at all. I am one of those people who is still right in the thick of it. And so I try to help bridge that gap for people who are trying to get to the next level and those who are already at the next level who are trying to reach back and help people who are just now starting. That's really what I see myself doing. So I appreciate you guys joining me. And again, this is like a different vibe. I kind of enjoy it. I get to play a little bit. That's something I don't normally get to do. Even here in my own home, I kind of stay in my studio, and my wife and I get to work from home on Fridays. And so usually I'm all stuck in the studio, and she's over here, and now I'm over here in the piano, so she's like right next door. Hopefully, I'm not disturbing her too much. So yes, please feel free, Gregory, to ask questions. But since I mentioned three keys, I just kind of went off the top of my head. But and by the way, forgive me because I keep trying to make sure I'm looking at the camera at the same time that I'm looking at the screen. So one thing that I noticed, even as I was trying to doing a little bit of fun and improving and messing up and trying to make that song work and those three different keys there, is that that's very similar to how you have to evolve and transpose, in a sense, transpose your creative life from one to the next, from business to art to promotion to worship to all these other like hats you have to wear. And to me, it was very similar to when I was switching keys, which is it's the exact same kind of thing. I mean, playing in G or in E or playing in C or whatever, like it's still 12 keys, it's still 2-5-1 progressions, but it has a totally different feel to it when I switch keys. Like when I went from I went from C, I'm sorry. It's just a different sound. And if you're a musician, you know this. Like, playing the exact same chord, just in two different keys, it's the exact same notes in terms of the lining up of the intervals and so on, and because I'm starting to play. There it is. I couldn't even find where it was. Hey, Simony, good to see you. Awesome, awesome to have our friends in the building. Simony, one of my favorite creators, who's also on the interview, the God and Geeks show back at the beginning of this year. Imagine Simony a year ago, no, about like 11 months ago. You had no idea that this was coming, that you were going to be a mom in just a few short weeks. This is so exciting. So thank you for joining me here now. So I was just saying, I just kind of like was riffing a little bit, but I think this has a good point. And if you have questions, by the way, this is, like I said, much more open-ended. I'm not coming today with an agenda necessarily. This is kind of like creative keys. You have keys, and hopefully we'll approach some keys that will help you in your creative life, even in the community, Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. So as I said, it's kind of like where you're doing the exact same thing in two different keys, but the sound and the feel is totally different. So I could equate that to even in terms of maybe balance of between your creative life and your business life, which is what we talked about yesterday in the podcast, Mind Your Creative Business. So I just released that in the God and Gig show, and we talked about that, like how some people think you have to divide and change between your artist life and your business life. But what I've noticed is that one of the keys of being able to not feel that tension between your artist and your business life is realize they're one and the same. You don't have to take off one hat and put on the other hat, even though it seems like you do. For me to kind of be doing this music thing and switching gears from key to key might seem like it's really different. It's like, okay, it's a whole nother scale, but really it's the same 12 notes, it's the same 88 keys. Nothing's really changed. It's just playing in a different area and it sounds different to me. In the same way, when you're talking about creating your art, creating your music, creating whatever, like, yes, there's a totally different space you create in, but it's just two sides of the same coin because you're still trying to express and promote yourself. One thing I said way back, I believe, I can't remember where the blog is, I have to look for it, but I talked about the fact that you're trying to promote yourself is really expressing yourself. So your branding and your marketing, even though it doesn't seem like anything necessarily is the same as writing a poem or making a movie, but it's still expressing your point of view. So in a sense, I remember where it was. It was the integrated creative. I got to find that and a link to that. Actually, let me find that real quick. See if I can give you guys the link to that post. If I can type and talk at the same time, that would be amazing. So I wish I had all these links right in front of me, but we've been in blogging for almost 5, 6 years. So there's so many posts that I do not remember where they are. So let me see if I can find that for you. Integrated. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. This is definitely live. Here it is. All right. So I'm going to post this link here. So if you want to see what I mean by integrated creative, this is what I mean. So I'm going to put it in the chat and maybe that will pop up for you guys as well. Hopefully it will pop up for everybody. All right. So if you want to check that out, that is where I talk about the integration between the business side and the art side. And you don't really have to see yourself as one or the other. If you're expressing yourself as an artist, then you also express yourself when you share your art. Like that doesn't, you don't become a different person when you say, hey, I've got a gig coming up, or hey, please read my blog post. Like you don't become a different person. Now there's different skills involved, just like there's different skills in playing, like, minor to major. Like there's a different tactic in terms of the way I approach it, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm still playing the piano. Like that doesn't change. And so what I would love to kind of ask you even is, have you felt that tension? Because maybe I'm addressing an issue that's not really an issue. I don't want to deal with it if it's not an issue for you. But if this is an issue for you, then maybe I should, dig more into it. Okay, is there a tension for you between, again, like if you're switching from, like me right now, like I'm literally going from playing music, to video blogging and sharing and teaching. So it's really like I'm really combining two areas right now in my life. I had to switch from knowing what the keys are to being able to find the camera. And so the goal, I think, again, is that it should be as seamless as possible. And maybe that's impossible for it to be seamless between switching between your two roles. And maybe there's some other roles I'm forgetting. Or there's some other hats that you might be wearing. If you're watching this even on replay, you might want to respond as well. What are the hats, the different places and keys and like lanes you find yourself in? Are you finding yourself in a lane obviously as a family person, a husband or a wife or a father or a mother? And then, your lane maybe at your church where you might be a worship leader or a minister of music or a photographer or a sound person. And then this other lane where you're a professional artist, writer, actor. Like there's so many lanes you have to go in. I think the danger is feeling like you have to keep switching hats. And my goal is to try to help you to be integrated in all those things. So one of the keys, again, is first recognizing that you have different hats on, recognizing that there are different lanes, but that you don't have to change who you are. And the key of this is being the same person inside and out, so that when you shift gears, you don't feel like you are having to turn yourself into somebody that you're not, or try to put on a totally different aspect. Now, does it require different skills? Yes. And that would be the second key, maybe if I had to throw in a key, is, Simony said all of the above. All of the roles, exactly. That's how I feel. I feel like, we all get stuck doing so many different things. We don't even realize that they're all required. And we're not supposed to be good at all of them. By the way, I just finished getting off of this cool platform called Solve. Solvv. It's literally an alpha. It's not even in beta yet. So if you look for it, you can't find it because it's barely out. But I just did a cool little panel and we talked about this, about the creative entrepreneur mindset. and how it's so hard to like sometimes feel like you're an imposter because you don't deal with numbers, or you don't deal with contracts, or you don't deal with promotion. And then talk about in spiritual sense, like how, okay, we're not supposed to be like promoting ourselves, right? We're supposed to be promoting God or promoting the kingdom, or maybe you're a Christian artist and you just feel icky when it comes to selling. And it's really hard to, again, to switch gears and say, wait, I don't have to change gears. I don't have to be something different that I'm not. I simply have to be aware of the different skills I have to use. And the second key I would put out is, where are you learning your skills? Like, where are you developing the skills that you don't have? So if there is a skill that you have struggled with in terms of music, maybe, for reading music, I've seen some people talking about reading music. I happen to read music. Was because I took a lot of lessons and did basically all classical my first 5 or 6, 7, 8 years of playing. So I don't read that much anymore. So now if I want to read, I'm going to have to grab some stuff and like get back onto my reading. Is not like I can't just turn around and play like as soon as I see it anymore. So I got to get some practice. I got to get some lessons. I got to get some practice in. I got to work on that skill because sight reading is no longer my strength. Never was, but definitely not now. So if there's an area of your creative life or your business life, it's okay to be shaky. It's okay to be like, man, I got to find some help. I got to take a course. I got to go to a community college. I got to take some YouTube university stuff. I've got to join something like, our group, God and Gigs 360, and get some counseling and some teaching and some lessons and some courses there. That's what you are supposed to do. You're not supposed to be all things and know all things and know everything. You're not supposed to be able to be like, create a whole business entrepreneurship kingdom overnight. Like, that's silly. You start from where you are. Like, literally, like just now, I literally just started this. I have no idea whether the sound is as good as it should be. It's called minimum viable product. I just said this to my wife. I have to be MVP, minimum viable product. So does the camera work? Does the video work? Can you hear me? Minimum viable product. Get it out there. Start practicing. See if it works. If not, then no big deal. I'll try it again next week. And so you guys are telling me you'll vote with your clicks and you'll vote with your responses, whether you like this or whether you want me to get out of the way, get out of the keyboard and just, make sure that I address your questions instead of mixing in what I want to play or trying to play songs that I have to practice, like that Paris Bowen that I probably butchered. This is what it's about. It's about being willing to admit your mistakes and your weaknesses and saying, hey, let me connect with people who know a little more about it in this area, but don't be ashamed. Maybe that's the big key. Don't be ashamed of not knowing. Don't be ashamed of not being like as strong as you think you should be and feeling like you're comparing yourself with all the people who got it all together. Because I guarantee you, they did not have it all together in all those areas at the beginning. They either hired somebody to help or they learned slowly and figured it out. But they did not have every single part of their creative business life and spiritual connection. All of that was not running seamless, and it never really does. That's what the problem with Instagram and Facebook. They kind of make us think that they all run together. So if you're agreeing with me, just give me a one in the comment, or yes, that's me, or yes, I understand. Yeah, you're tracking, because that's the other thing about this live thing, that you never know if you're watching, if I'm not paying attention to the comments, if this is helping you. So if it's helping you, let me know. Okay. By the way, real quick, just in case you are one of those people who want to connect with us more, you can always follow us on Twitter. There's the Twitter right there, God and Gigs. The same thing is for Instagram. Okay, so I would love to. I'm trying to get more involved in Twitter and try to be a little more up to date with that kind of stuff, staying in touch with everybody. So make sure you check that out. If you want to follow us, stay connected with us. Okay. So if you have any other questions, we're right about 4:27. The time went really fast. Normally we go in 30 minutes. So I guess I got to add one more key, because I said there's going to be 3 keys. I said, that's fun to actually play. Um, so I would say the third key, if I had to go back to yesterday's podcast, and that's again, God and Gigs, by the way, God and Gigs /138 and Gigs. Let me make sure I type that in so you guys can see that. Yeah, God and Gigs /138. That is where our last podcast came in. And that's where we were talking about minding your creative business. And again, you can see I'm kind of like, expanding on this a little more than I could even in that podcast episode. So if you are making sure, number one, that you recognize that you can be integrated as a creative, you don't have to be one or the other. if you also know that you can recognize your weaknesses, be willing to look ahead and say, hey, you know what, I'm not that good at contracts. I feel weird with Instagram posting. I don't know what to say. I don't know when to say it. It's okay to reach out for help. Matter of fact, it's best to look out for help and don't try to do everything yourself. Okay, and the third thing and last thing I would probably add on to that, even as I'm sitting here now, is to give yourself grace and make sure that you acknowledge who you are as a creative on the deepest level so that you don't think that, like I just said, your number one, don't feel like your weaknesses are the biggest issue, but also I want you to focus on your strengths. So acknowledge your weakness, but lean into the strength. So the very reason I'm even here is because somebody reminded me. Well, I'll tell you who it was. It was Jermaine. If you're watching, Jermaine, thank you much so much because you can see I'm trying this out. This is basically Jermaine's suggestion. It's like, hey, you should get more in front of the piano. You should be accentuating your strengths. You shouldn't be so quick to run away from the thing that you do well. And so for years, this is all I've known is the piano. This is really a great object lesson, by the way. Thank you, Jermaine, for this. Because I've always been a pianist, it's been tempting to say, well, that's what I do. I shouldn't really focus on that. I should be more to what other people are doing. And more people aren't really, the pianist is a totally separate thing. But it's really part of who I am. And so, yeah, Simmons says that part exactly. So I appreciate you so much checking in on me because this is exactly. I mean, this is helping me as well. So what I'm seeing is that I'm learning more and more. I can lean into these strengths of mine, and I don't have to feel like there is something missing just because I don't do certain things well. If I am a pianist and like that's my gifting, then I gotta lean into that. If I'm now podcasting is something I'm leaning into more, and it's like, okay, you know what? If I want this to grow, I got to do more of it, and I don't have to do all the other things as much. And it's okay because if I lean into my strengths, that's going to be more in my wheelhouse. I'm going to feel more confident. And again, while I work on those work on those weaknesses, I don't want that to become a negative. I want to focus on the positives of what I do well and say, hey, no matter what, if you look for me in this area, you're going to find me in my zone of genius. You're going to find me in my mastery zone. Like Jordan Rayner says, one of the books we talk about a lot, recommended Master of One. I could be a master of one skill. Now, it doesn't mean I don't focus on making sure I'm a completely competent creative in these other areas, but here's where I make my bread and butter. Here's where I really excel. And if I lean into that strength, even as I'm doing now, trying to make sure that I really focus on what I do well, I'm going to find myself a lot more confident and able to handle those other things that I don't do as well because I'm really focused and strong and comfortable in that particular zone. Now, that doesn't mean my comfort zone necessarily. I want to challenge myself, but here's where my strengths lie. And so, again, thank you, Jermaine. Even you guys go check out Jermaine's stuff. His book, 10 Ways to Success, the working musician. I'm talking about, by the way, his last name. And I can't believe it just popped out of my head. That's crazy. I sit here talking about him, and his last name popped out of my head. Jermaine, you guys like, what the heck? How are you gonna forget about me? Huh? No. See, he's the wrong one. My wife is trying to help me, and now I'm getting lost. And this glare is driving me crazy too. So no, it's not. He's gonna be laughing this whole time because it's like all of a sudden it's like it's so weird. All the Jermaines, it's not Jermaine Jackson, none of the other Jermaines. Okay, make sure make sure you understand that. So really quick, let me go ahead and post up this other link real fast, just in case you need to find it. Where is it? There it is. Got to get slash 138 for a podcast yesterday. And let me tell you some other things, quick announcements that I'm getting ready to do. I'm thinking about doing another consistent creative checkup, which will be coming up really soon. And also, always want to recommend for all of you, if you're looking for a community like this, where you can connect with people, where you can get that motivation, inspiration, always please check out God and Gigs 360. You can find that here at God and Gigs free trial, 30 days free to check out this. I'm going to give you a hint. There will be some really cool deals coming up. There's Black Friday coming up very soon, and You know, you're going to spend so much money on Christmas gifts. Why not spend some money on your creative life, on your creative gift, on investing in the gift that God put inside you, and by connecting with other creatives who are just like you, who want to know what you want to know and grow the way you want to grow. I would suggest that. So check that out. But you can always get 30 days free at godandgigs.com/free trial. Okay. But if you want to check out God and Gigs 360 later, keep connected to our mailing list. You can do that simply by going to godandgigs.com. There's going to be some really cool deals coming up really soon, so you might want to check that out as well. So no way you can lose. You can get the free trial, or you can even check out some of the deals that we'll be presenting for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff that's coming up really soon. And we're also going to do some master classes as well to help you in the meantime to build up that creative career with complete confidence in your God-given gifts. Okay. So that's really it for today. Simony, thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you, Dee, for coming in. Gregory showed up real quick and said hi. And didn't ask any questions, Gregory, but if you're watching this later, or anybody else is watching later, I always go back to the comments and I ask later if there was anyone that needed anything, and I try to get you an answer. Again, the whole point is connecting creatives with their spiritual life and their creative life, so that there's no line in between where you can't get the answers and become a fully confident creative. I'm enjoying the journey. I want you to enjoy. I want you to enjoy the journey too. And so that's what these creative checkups, these creative keys are all about. So thanks for letting me explore a little bit. Thank you for letting me play for you a little bit. Again, I don't do this on this platform really at all. It's probably maybe the first time I've ever tried it. And hopefully I didn't make too many mistakes. But I was just kind of show you like, hey, this is me playing. And this is what, let's see what we got here just real quick. Wait, chat overlay. Oh, thank you so much, Simony. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. So glad you enjoyed it. Let me get this out of the way. Let me see. That's how I can see everybody's. I think. Oh, I can't see your comments anymore. I can only do one at a time. Oh, okay. I messed up something. That's me. It's me playing around with things and getting it mixed up. How do I go back? How do I go back? Okay, get back. There we go. All right, there we go. But thank you for that love right there. Appreciate that, Simony. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And I will hopefully will be seeing you very soon in 360, as long as you are taking care of that young daughter that is going to be soon. Whenever you're ready to come on by, we will be ready for you there. And the rest of you that are watching this as well, 360 is available for you. Again, godandgigs.com/free trial, or make sure you sign up at godandgigs.com/questions. That is a free workbook you can get to help you to become a full-time creative and answer the questions that you might need to answer. In that way, if you get that resource, you also join the mailing list. So that's another way that you can join up with us at godandgigs.com/questions. I always feel weird when I have to type this stuff at the time, but yeah, as I come up, I have to type it. So there it is. All right. So if you want to check that out as well, you can also get on the mailing list, get that free resource to help you be a full-time creative and answer the questions you need to ask before you make the leap. And Simony, as you know, that's kind of like right where we're at. So we're helping you out as well. All right. So anybody else that's watching on replay, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching to the end. I mean, you stayed in here, so you've seen all the links. You can see how to stay in touch with us. If you have any questions at all, let me know, and we'll be glad to address them. All right. So God bless. Thanks so much. All right. Oh, amen to that. Amen. 100. All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump off, you guys, until next week. We should have another creative checkup next week. So we're going to try to stay every week. But of course, week of Thanksgiving, we'll take a break and so on. But I try to jump on every Friday as much as possible. So I hope you'll join me again. Stay connected. Make sure you subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Make sure you're liking us on Facebook if you're watching this right now. And of course, we also have our Instagram, God and Gigs, as well. All platforms the same way, so that we can help you continue to become the creative that you were created to be. All right. God bless you guys. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.